My mother used to say I was her first pancake. Not perfect, a little burnt, and easy to throw out. My mother used to joke that I was her first pancake. Burnt around the edges, hard to flip. She said it with a laugh, like it was some cute, self-aware moment. I learned early that when people say, just kidding, they're often telling the truth with a cushion. She wanted a boy. I know that not from one big confession, but from all the little cuts. The nursery that stayed blue for months after I was born, the box of tiny soccer cleats I found in the attic labeled, for him. The way she sighed at my kindergarten photo and said, maybe next time. There wasn't a next time, not for 5 years. I was 6 when I learned that our smiles were not for ourselves, but for the feed. My mom ran a parenting blog. Small following. Big image. White walls, matching pajamas, captions like, mornings with my sunshine girl, written under a photo of me looking off camera, face blank, jaw tight. I didn't like cameras. Didn't like dresses. She said I was difficult, uncooperative, moody. She called me our little thinker when she needed a euphemism for doesn't make my job easier. My dad was around. He worked a lot. Quiet type. Said stuff like listen to your mother and don't make things harder. He wasn't cruel. Just distant enough to make it clear I was her responsibility. I didn't act out. I just shrank. I read a lot. Wore the same hoodie for weeks. Drew on the inside of cabinets so no one would see. One time, during a photo shoot, I spilled juice on my shirt and she screamed. Not like a mother, but like a brand manager losing control of her product. Do you know how hard I worked to make us look decent? She hissed. I was 7. I said sorry, even though I wasn't. It became my most used word. I didn't hate her. I just stopped reaching for her warmth. It wasn't there. At 10, I got a B in math and she took away my tablet for lack of focus. When I got an A the next time, she said, see what happens when you try? No hug. No praise. Just transaction. Then came Joshua. I was 9. The miracle. The do-over. The sun. He was soft and pink and perfect, and I wanted to love him, I really did. But he took up all the air in the room. And when my mother held him, I saw a smile I'd never earned. She started filming more. Weekly updates. Baby milestones. Siblings bonding. But I was rarely in frame. Once, I asked why she cut me out of a video. She said, you looked bored. And maybe I was. Because I knew exactly what this was, I wasn't the child. I was the context. The before to his after. The first pancake. And first pancakes get thrown out. Joshua became the center of every room without even trying. I didn't hate him. I just stopped existing next to him. Every time I tried to speak, someone interrupted. Every time I asked for help, there was a baby crying. My mom used to say, you're older, you understand. But I didn't. I just learned to disappear without causing noise. When I was 12, she started filming a day in our life vlogs. The thumbnails were always him, sleeping, giggling, grabbing her hair. I was there too, in the corners, doing dishes, walking past, holding the camera. Once she asked me to retake a shot because I blinked. Another time she asked me to try smiling like you mean it. I said, I don't feel like smiling. She stopped filming mid-roll and stared at me. Do you ever try not making everything harder? The video never aired. That was the first time I realized I could be edited out in real life. It started small, fewer birthday photos, cropped family shots, me being too busy to be featured. But it grew. By 13, I wasn't in her Instagram at all. If anyone asked, she said I was just not into social stuff. I began writing in a notebook I hid in the heating vent. Not poetry. Just facts. Things like, Joshua gets 3 hugs a day, I get 1 a week. Or, I said I felt sad. She told me to go outside. It wasn't dramatic. Just a record. A way to prove I wasn't crazy. At 14, I scratched a line into my thigh with a paperclip. Just to see what it felt like. It wasn't about pain. It was about seeing something real. Something I made. It bled, a little. I covered it with a sock and cleaned the carpet myself. She never noticed. A week later, I did it again. Deeper. I didn't want to die. I just wanted to mark the space I was in. Like a "you are here" no one else could erase. Joshua saw once. I was in the bathroom. Door not fully shut. He was only 8, but his eyes got big. I thought he'd run. Instead, that night, I found a Band-Aid and a Kit Kat on my pillow. No note. No questions. Just something. I cried in the dark. Quietly. Like always. 15. 16. I started skipping meals. Not on purpose. Just forgot. No one asked. I stopped getting sick, because I stopped telling anyone. One day I got a school award. I left the certificate on the table. It disappeared. The next week, a grocery list hung in its place. Don't forget dish soap. I didn't. I never forgot anything. Except what it felt like to be somebody's favorite. College felt like parole. No one slammed the door behind me, but it still felt like release. My roommate was chaotic in the best way, late-night nachos, glitter socks, screaming into pillows instead of smiling through pain. I didn't know how to act around that kind of freedom. I'd sit on the edge of the bed and ask, "Are you sure it's okay if I just stay here?" She always laughed. "You live here, dumbass." Still, I waited for someone to tell me I was in the way. Then came Logan. A skater with too many keys clipped to his belt and a chipped tooth he refused to fix. He called everyone dude, even professors, and once told me I had the posture of someone waiting for a slap that never comes. I didn't know if it was an insult or the most honest thing I'd ever heard. We started hanging out. No dating, no pressure. Just long walks, bad coffee, cracked sidewalks, music on shared headphones. One night, I told him about the blog. The way my mom made me smile on cue. The way I disappeared behind her captions. He didn't try to relate. Just said, "Fuck that. You're real." They're not. I wanted to believe him. I really did. Then one day, out of nowhere, my mom emailed me. Subject: "We should talk." It started sweet, "I've missed you. I know I wasn't perfect. I'm trying to grow." Then came the shift, "But you've been selfish. You don't know how much you've hurt this family." Joshua cries when he sees your old photos. If you're ready to apologize, I'm ready to forgive. I've changed. I read it 3 times. Not a single sentence asked how I was. Just how I made her feel. I didn't respond. I showed it to Logan. He whistled low and said, "That woman's got main character syndrome." I laughed too hard and cried in the same breath. It was the first time I didn't feel crazy for not running back. A week later, I left the family group chat. Muted her number. Unfollowed the blog. I thought it would feel dramatic. It didn't. It felt like setting a glass down after holding it for hours. Logan moved away a month later, a new city, new job, no big goodbyes. I stood in the parking lot and waved. He didn't look back. I didn't chase him. That's when I knew, I wasn't a background anymore. I was becoming the frame. I didn't become fearless. I just got tired of hiding. I changed majors halfway through college and told no one. Studied quietly. Sat in the back. Took notes on how pain disguises itself in good manners and polite emails. By graduation, I knew what I wanted, to learn the language of people who were never taught how to say, "I need help." I got a job on a crisis line. Nights mostly. Voices in the dark, cracking open with phrases like, "I don't know if this is serious enough," or, "I just feel wrong." I knew that tone. I'd lived in it. On my days off, I started a little blog, anonymous at first. No ads. No filters. Just stories, things I wish someone said when I was 11. One post went semi-viral. I wasn't difficult. I was just exhausted from pretending. I didn't expect it, but strangers wrote in. Said thank you. Said, me too. I started an online group, not difficult, just ignored. I never showed my face. Just my words. That was enough. Until it wasn't. One night, during a live stream, someone asked, "Why don't you go by your real name?" I paused. Then said it out loud. First and last. Clear. No flinch. It felt like pulling a splinter that had been stuck under my skin for 20 years. My mom still has the blog. She rebranded. All about healing, forgiveness, learning to let go. In one post, she writes, "Some children will always rewrite history to make themselves victims. I forgive them anyway." I didn't reply. But I read it. Just once. Then closed the tab. A week later, Joshua messaged me. First time in years. No emojis. Just, "I remember the notebook in the vent. I used to read it when you were at school. I'm sorry I didn't do more. I get it now." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then typed, "You were a kid." We both were. He hearted it. Nothing else. That was enough. Now, I run group sessions. I listen to voices that sound like mine used to. There's always one who says, "I feel like I don't exist unless I'm smiling." I tell them, "You exist now. Right here. Without the smile. And I see you." That's how it ends. Not with a fight. Not with revenge. But with visibility. I used to be edited out of my own life. Now, I sit in the front row. No camera. No filter. Just breath. Just voice. Just me. They said it was better for girls to stay with their mother after divorce. Something about stability, routine, emotional needs. No one asked what kind of mother she was. I was 6. I didn't know what I needed, only that most days she moved through the apartment like I was static on the radio. Not angry. Not cruel. Just done. She wasn't the type to yell. She sighed instead, a deep, tired sound that told me my presence was exhausting. She'd tap her nails on the table when I talked too long. Roll her eyes if I cried. I learned quick that silence got me further than questions. My dad, he wasn't perfect, but he saw me. Picked me up on weekends. Let me ride in the front seat even when it wasn't allowed. He remembered my favorite juice, saved my drawings, showed up to every stupid school event like it mattered. I asked him once why I couldn't just live with him. He looked at the ground and said, "The court thinks girls need their mothers more." I remember thinking, what if I don't? Things got worse when Carl showed up. I was 8. I thought he was a plumber at first. He barely looked at me. He moved in with a quiet kind of control, didn't tell me what to do, just made it clear I didn't belong. He'd kiss my mom in the kitchen while I sat at the table, and not even glance my way. "No, how was school? No, you hungry?" Just air. Then came Tina. And I disappeared. The house changed shape. Everything became about the baby. My mom smiled more, at her. Carl bought her little shoes before she could walk. When Tina cried, they dropped everything. When I cried, they said I was too old for that. I became the space between things. "You're the big sister now. She's just a baby, let her have this. You know better. And the worst one, don't be jealous." Like I was some bitter stranger, not their kid. At 13, I stopped expecting anything. Birthdays were quiet. Dinners were quieter. Carl started calling Tina, our girl. Never said my name. One night, I got up to use the bathroom and heard them talking in the kitchen. My mom whispered, she's always tense. Moody. It's exhausting. Carl said, she's not like Tina. My mom sighed, long and deep. Maybe it's time she went to live with her dad. Before she rubs off on the baby. I stood there barefoot, hands cold, and waited until the hallway light flicked off. The next morning, I packed a bag without being told. My mom didn't cry. She handed me a 20 and said, don't lose it. Carl didn't come out of the bedroom. Tina was asleep. And I walked out like I was never really there to begin with. My dad met me at the station with a thermos of hot chocolate and a hoodie I'd left at his place 3 years ago. He didn't ask questions. Just opened the trunk and said, you're home now. I don't remember the drive. Just the way my fingers curled around the cup, like I could finally hold something warm. He never made it weird. Didn't say, we'll fix this. Didn't ask, what did she say? He let me be quiet. That was the first time I understood what safe felt like, not loud, not heroic. Just soft and steady. His apartment was small. Clean. Smelled like coffee and dust. He gave me the bigger bedroom without making a point of it. Said, I snore. You'll thank me. That night he made scrambled eggs and toast and we watched some dumb action movie with too many explosions. I didn't cry. I just stared at the screen and thought, this is enough. Over the next few years, he never tried to be the better parent. He just showed up. Taught me how to cook rice without burning it. Sat with me during report card weeks. For the first time, I laughed without checking the room. I grew up quietly. No rebellion, no drama. Just progress. I worked hard in school, got a scholarship, moved into the dorms. My dad cried in the car after dropping me off. I pretended not to see. We called every Sunday. He always asked if I was eating enough. Sometimes I wrote to my mom. Short things. Updates. She replied with, glad to hear, and take care. T never wrote. I didn't expect her to. Junior year, my dad got sick. At first he brushed it off, just tired. Then the hospital. Then the diagnosis. Stage 4. I dropped everything. Moved back in. Became nurse, driver, cook, daughter. I watched his face thin out, his hands shake. I tried to joke, like he used to, but it felt wrong in that heavy air. He apologized once, for being a burden. I snapped, you are the only reason I made it here. You're not a burden. You're my reason. He smiled so faintly I almost missed it. He died in August. At home. Window open. It smelled like mint tea and sun. I held his hand. Told him he did everything right. Afterward, no one came. No call from my mom. No text. Not even from T. I planned the funeral alone. Chose the music. Wrote the speech. Signed the papers. My friends offered to come, but I said no. I wanted it to be just him and me, the way it started. After the burial, I sat on the edge of his bed for hours. The silence was the loudest thing in the room. I wasn't angry. I wasn't broken. I was just empty. The kind of hollow that comes when the only person who ever looked at you like you mattered is suddenly gone. And there's no one left to say your name like it means something. It had been 3 months. I'd settled into the quiet. Not healed, just adjusted. I went back to school. Finished assignments in silence. Ate dinner with the TV on low. The apartment was still full of my dad's things, his slippers by the door, his notes on the fridge, the way he folded towels. I couldn't move any of it. I didn't want to. The grief didn't scream. It just sat there. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go. But something, instinct, nostalgia, maybe weakness, made me answer. It was my mom. Her voice was soft. Softer than I remembered. I've been thinking about you. I know I wasn't the mother you needed. But I miss you. For a moment, I didn't breathe. Then she said the thing that cracked me, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do with that word from her. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to scream. Instead, I whispered, okay. She asked if we could have lunch. Just talk. I said yes. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe I just wanted to be seen again. The restaurant was halfway between us. She brought flowers. T was with her. Taller now. Polished. She smiled like we weren't strangers. Mom asked about school, work, how I'd been holding up. Said she wanted to start over. It was awkward, but not hostile. We even laughed once. She texted the next day, you don't have to be alone. She invited me to the house. Said Carl was different now. That he'd be polite. I didn't want to go. But I did. Out of curiosity. The house looked the same, but colder. There was a box in the corner. Mom said, I kept your old drawings. I always knew you had talent. I didn't know whether to cry or run. She made tea. T showed me photos from Paris, a beach trip, her boyfriend. She asked if I was still painting. I lied and said no. For 2 weeks, it became a routine, small visits, cautious messages. Then came the dinner where everything shifted. Mom brought it up at dessert. I didn't want to say anything, but T's sick. She hesitated. She needs surgery. It's serious. The insurance won't cover all of it. My stomach dropped. I asked what it was. She mentioned a condition I didn't recognize. We're trying everything, she said, tears in her voice. But it's hard. You're successful now. Maybe you could help. I asked for documents. She flinched. You don't trust me? T looked away. Mom kept going, we're family. This isn't about the past. It's about saving your sister. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I left that night shaking. But the next morning, I transferred the money. $20,000. I told myself I was doing the right thing. That people change. That maybe this was how forgiveness started. A week later, I texted asking how T was doing. No response. I emailed, saying I needed paperwork, for taxes, for clarity. Mom replied, please don't pressure us. We're doing the best we can. And that's when the silence came back. But this time, it wasn't mine. I found out by accident. I wasn't even looking. A friend from college messaged me, hey, isn't this your sister? Attached was a screenshot, T, standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, holding a glass of champagne, captioned, life is short, make it pretty. The post was 2 days old. The same day my mom said T was recovering from surgery. I stared at it for minutes, not moving. Then I opened my laptop. Googled the name of the hospital they'd mentioned. Nothing. No listings. No such facility. I checked the receipts Mom had sent me. They were doctored. Obvious once I looked. I called. No answer. I texted. Nothing. Then I saw it, a GoFundMe link, shared by someone else, titled, Help Our Family, Save Our Daughter. There were photos of T in a hospital gown. Fake. Filtered. Cropped to hide details. The description was full of lies, how they were fighting for her life, how our estranged daughter finally came through for us. My name wasn't on the page, but I was in every word. I blocked both of them. Froze the account. Made an appointment with a lawyer. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth to matter. The legal process was slow, exhausting, humiliating. My mother played victim. Said I was unstable, grieving, confused. T cried in a local blog interview. She misunderstood. We never meant to hurt her. But the evidence was too solid. The fake documents. The timeline. The money trail. I got the funds returned. The page taken down. A court order against further contact. But more than that, I got clarity. One evening, I sat alone in a cheap hostel in Rome. I'd booked the trip on a whim. The wine was warm, the air sticky. I wrote a postcard to no one in particular. I started it like this: "You'd be proud of me, Dad." I didn't let them break me twice. I sat there, pen in hand, listening to street sounds below. And I realized, they would never call. Never apologize. Never ask how I was. And that was okay. I didn't need the fire anymore. I didn't need the drama. I needed stillness. I needed breath. I needed me. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up when you're silent. It's who looks at your pain and doesn't blink. My father did that. Isla did that. I'm learning to do that too. For myself. And the rest? They'll keep building stories where I'm the villain. That's fine. I'd rather be the villain in their version than the fool in mine. You are not required to burn so someone else can stay warm. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for your own soul is walk away from the fire, and let it die. Subscribe, hit the like button, and explore more fascinating stories.